up in these mining, I'll call them just mining cycles. I just having cycles. I don't think these things are relevant anymore. So so that's what I say as far as the cycles. Now, as far as how far can we get in, say, the next year or two, I definitely think 500,000 is reasonable, right? And how do I sort of roughly get to these numbers? Well, roughly speaking, if you look a year from now, at the power law sort of says that the sort of fair value is going to be around 120,000, something like that, right? Now, the power law, to simplify it dramatically, it will sort of say, if you double that, that's kind of one standard deviation, right? So 250,000 is one standard deviation above it, and 500,000 would be sort of two standard deviations, right? Yep. Now, two standard deviations is not really super sustainable, but it has happened in the past quite a bit, right? We were there in 2020. Your portfolio probably hasn't doubled, so you're probably 85% in Bitcoin, right? So, maybe at that point you peel off 15% and you get back down to 70% of Bitcoin, right? Yeah. So I think there's going to be a little bit of that going on, not just, institutions, I think, who bought Bitcoin and who got to their full allocation will do that. But I think a lot more or new guys are just coming in and they're just going to buy, right?
Yeah, stack for the next 4 years.
Yeah, the amount of firepower that's left in TradFi is just it's unfathomable, and I kind of like, this is a good way I thought of to think about it, right? Which is, if you look at kind of just the U.S. market, right? U.S. stocks is about $46 trillion. U.S. bonds about the same when you throw in corporate bonds and munis together, and then you have cash that's about $6 trillion, right? So you put all that together, it's about 100 trillion. Continue along that exact line, right? So, so my point is that it's very, very strong statistical behavior. And it's just, if you look at it the right way, using math, using stats, you will see this is what Bitcoin does. And people are like, well, the trend's going to break. No, the trend, if anything, is getting stronger, right? Yeah. So the correlations are getting stronger. The volatility is weakening, is lowering. The deviation from the trend is lowering. So everything is actually growed up. Doesn't give you that, right? All the power law tells you is, how high are we likely to go up? What kind of volatility are we likely to have? And, and what does the ultimate gain look like, over a pretty long period? I'd say it has pretty good predictive power for 4 years plus. It has very low predictive power for 1 year, right? Power law does not tell me anything about next year. And, I had Plan C. I was talking with him, and somebody's like, well, if it can't tell me, he goes, where's the power law say it's going to be by the end of next year? And Plan C was like, somewhere between 50,000 and 250,000. And then he goes, well, what kind of law is that? And he goes, well, it's the same law that in 2018, when Bitcoin was at 4,000, would have said it's somewhere between, in 2024, it'd be somewhere position at the absolute worst time, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think it's just going to be.
I agree.
It's just, you're going to have a terrible experience. You're going to be like, look, Sean told me to go buy Bitcoin. I bought Bitcoin. Something happened. Kamala said something or other. Bitcoin said, we just saw it. Like, Bitcoin was at 58,000 not so long ago, right?
Yeah, for 6 months.
58K gang, or even below 58, So you can get shaken out of your positions, but you need conviction. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And so my point is, study the hell out of Bitcoin. Study all these things, because all this stuff will just get you more conviction. That's my point. He's 80, but we got a hold of him,
Well,
yeah, and David Shaw and everything. And so then we cover like, 2013, and Charlie Shrem, who we know, and
Yeah.
and then we, here's the crash of 2014. You know what I mean? There it is. We went from 1,000 to 200, right? Or 800 to 200, and it looked like Bitcoin was going to completely die, right? Hal Finney's last letter. This is like the first cycle, the second cycle, and then the block size wars, right? And we talk about casualties of the war, Mike Hearn, and we talked to Mike Hearn, right? And then 2017, which you remember, right, with Bitcoin, Ethereum taking the spotlight, and then we go all the way back to now the third cycle, Michael Saylor finally getting into the spotlight, right, with MicroStrategy and crowd. So I think I think most of the people, I mean, everybody who's gotten it loves it, and I think I mean that's just I'm hoping that we're sending a whole bunch of these things out this week to all the kind of the Senator Loomis, Toomey, Cinema, JD Vance. They're all getting this, as well as everybody you're going to see, Joe Kiernan and Squawk Box and all these guys. They'll all get it, all of them. Okay, and my only goal is that sometime in 2 weeks, they're all going to be like, yeah, I got this kind of really good looking book, art book on Bitcoin. Hey, Joe, what do you think? Yeah, I got one too. Yeah, it's really cool. I've been telling you guys about this Bitcoin thing. I think other nations are going to see that this is like, you just gave me the green light to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You guys are doing the reserve fund. Well, hello, Dubai. You know what I mean? They're going to do the same thing. So I think that is I think on the other hand, if Kamala gets in, I think that might postpone that a couple of years, but I definitely think if Trump gets in, we could start seeing that next year. We could start seeing we could see us adopting a reserve fund, and you could see, maybe even Europe saying that they're going to do some, Bitcoin reserve, or Australia, who knows, right? But I just think sky's the limit if we start seeing the US doing a reserve fund.
Lower than it costs to mine. Can you ask Fred how that works?
Yeah. So, okay. This fair value number is a number from the statistical measurement of power law. It has nothing to do with mining or the cost of production. I think there's a mistake that a lot of people make, that thinking that mining determines the price of Bitcoin. I think the relationship is the other way. All right, you have adoption that determines price, and price determines mining, right? And right now, there's a lot of miners competing for that hash rate, and they're making certain expectations of the price, and they're looking at the price and they're saying, what is my marginal electricity production, and does it make sense for them, right? I don't know. I mean, AI, we're going to have something approaching sentient AI in 10 years. It's pretty clear, right?
It's already super crazy, hey?
It's already super crazy, right? But like 10 years from now, like just imagine that. So we're talking about the price of Bitcoin in a period where I'm already feel like I'm talking to Hal, in 2001. And, literally it will be talking to Hal in 2001 and 10 years from now. And so I don't know. I think the math is really, really solid on this stuff. And all it does is just point right back to the fact that you should just be loading up on Bitcoin. That's what it tells you.
Yeah.
And disregarding any fall. Like that's what you're supposed to do. And you can listen to you and many of us and whatever guests or whatever topic that we're talking about, and we're trying to really kind of create I would say, more thoughtful, high-end discussion around Bitcoin only topics. That's the only thing we're interested in. So we're all Bitcoiners, but we're interested in Bitcoin first, but also anything that Bitcoin touches. So MSTR would be fair game, Bitcoin options would be fair game. Ordinals would be fair game. You know, anything that's Bitcoin related, right? Borrowing on Bitcoin is a topic that came up a lot at that. We had a Bitcoin First conference with huge success. And basically what we did with this conference is we said, what we're going to do is we're going to have 4 simultaneous groups, and we're going to have these crowdsourced topics, and we're going to have everybody participate in a discussion, maybe another 100 people from TradFi and other areas who didn't, other Bitcoiners didn't get the first one. So just a very focused group of people, and no speakers, no sponsors, no stages. Yeah.
So love it. Sorry to cut you off. I do have a hard stop, but for everyone watching, I've put Fred's X link below, and check out the bigbitcoinbook.com. Now that shipping is a bit cheaper to Australia, I'll be ordering myself a book as well. Just let everyone know, if you hit subscribe, I do have a video I'm recording with Mark Moss on Wednesday as well, so that